Does Singapore really lack land? Is Singapore really running out of space? Maju Forest, Gillman Barracks, Sembawang Forest. What do they have in common? These are living ecosystems that have been planned or already have been chopped down. We say we want sustainable development, but these are necessary trade-offs.
But what if Singapore is not as land scarce as we have been told, and we actually have enough land to build better housing for all?
But isn't Singapore a small country? Why don't we start bringing people in?
While it might be easy to blame immigrants for the need for new housing, the truth is we already have enough land in Singapore for all, if not for private greed. Let me bring you through the stats. Singapore currently has 16 golf courses that sit on 1,072 hectares of land. The government is only wanting to clear 15 hectares of Maju Forest, so why not our golf courses first? In Singapore, 15% of land is allocated to residential housing. Out of the 15%, 8% is used for public housing, where 80% of Singaporeans live. By contrast, 7% of land is used for private housing, where only 20% of Singaporeans live. A quarter of all private housing is made up of landed housing. So when it comes down to it, people living in landed houses take up a disproportionate amount of land as compared to people living in public housing. So really the problem is not between nature versus public good, but public good versus private greed, and we already have a solution for that.
The government has the power to acquire land for public purposes, like these massively inefficient GCBs. They have already used it to kick our parents and grandparents out of their kampongs. So why do the ultra-wealthy get to stay and accumulate capital while the rest of the nation suffers? Workers of Singapore, our land usage is not apolitical and predetermined. It is a political question and we need to stand up for ourselves. So the next time you see yourself walking past one of those huge landed houses in Orchard Road, ask yourself,
I enjoy being in the nature. I love everything inside the forest. The tree, the birds, the insect. My name is Bryce Lee. I'm 53 years old. I've been doing this since secondary school actually. Being in nature, what I call a nature immersion, when you're really inside the forest by yourself and you're so connected and you feel calm. Singapore is a city in nature. I can be in a very busy, very noisy town, right? But within 30 minutes, I can be in the forested area and suddenly it's so quiet, just the nature sound, you know. And the kind of contrast that I feel, right, is kind of amazing. You know? Singapore is located along the equator and is home to various wildlife, flora and fauna that are part of both terrestrial and freshwater ecosystem and coastal and marine ecosystem. There is more than 7,800 hectares of green space like primary forest, secondary forest, nature park and park connectors. They maintain biodiversity balance and also act as a carbon sponge while reducing the urban heat island effect. Living in an urban city, the moment I enter the forest, I can feel the difference. The forest is important, you know. It provides fresh air to people staying around it, you know. So it's important that we try to keep as much as forest as possible in Singapore because all these affect a person's well-being. I started birdwatching in the mid-80s, right, you know, and until 90s. So birdwatching is a never-ending learning because you understand the species, you know. If you are lucky, you can see this endangered species of bird called straw-headed bubu. Okay? Straw-headed bubu is endangered species globally, okay? But we hold the largest population of straw-headed bubu in Singapore. So it's important that we can keep this place as long as possible. Forests are not just forests. Okay? These are refuge for all kinds of species of wildlife, for birds, for plants to thrive and to grow. See? There's this place in Singapore called Thomson Nature Park. Thomson Nature Park has very high biodiversity value because of all these rare species of mammals. This banded leaf monkey, or we call it the Raffles banded Tengah. The population left is only about 60 to 70. So Thomson Nature Park is what kind of their holding area also. This is our old Jurong Rail. So it ceased operation in 1992. Until now, it was abandoned. For almost 30 years, this place has grown wild, so nature took over. You look at all the road system, right? All the routes, right? It's really embedded to the railway track, you know. So this is something special that in Singapore, and HDB is just beside us. We should treasure this urban and nature kind of mixed together. All these nature spots are just from the Singapore mainland. During low tide, take a boat to this southern island. It takes about less than 30 minutes. One of the interesting part, I think, is Lazarus Island. Because Lazarus Island still hold one of the last few natural rocky shore in Singapore, which is accessible to public. You know, go there during low tide period. You know, you can actually walk on the rocky shore. There's actually a lot of marine sea creatures living in this rocky shore. You know. I'm not an activist. No, I'm a conservationist. I'm just a nature lover. I never feel bored going back to the same forest again and again, because forests every day look different. Singapore might be small, but we still have quite a lot of forests around for us to visit. You know. Each time you go back, you see different things. The best thing about forest is everlasting change. So it keeps changing, keep changing, keep changing. You know.
Does Singapore really lack land? Is Singapore really running out of space? Maju Forest, Gillman Barracks, Sembawang Forest. What do they have in common? These are living ecosystems that have been planned or already have been chopped down. We say we want sustainable development, but these are necessary trade-offs.
But what if Singapore is not as land scarce as we have been told, and we actually have enough land to build better housing for all?
But isn't Singapore a small country? Why don't we start bringing people in?
While it might be easy to blame immigrants for the need for new housing, the truth is we already have enough land in Singapore for all, if not for private greed. Let me bring you through the stats. Singapore currently has 16 golf courses that sit on 1,072 hectares of land. The government is only wanting to clear 15 hectares of Maju Forest, so why not our golf courses first? In Singapore, 15% of land is allocated to residential housing. Out of the 15%, 8% is used for public housing, where 80% of Singaporeans live. By contrast, 7% of land is used for private housing, where only 20% of Singaporeans live. A quarter of all private housing is made up of landed housing. So when it comes down to it, people living in landed houses take up a disproportionate amount of land as compared to people living in public housing. So really the problem is not between nature.
Does Singapore really lack land? Is Singapore really running out of space? Maju Forest, Gillman Barracks, Sembawang Forest. What do they have in common? These are living ecosystems that have been planned or already have been chopped down. We say we want sustainable development, but these are necessary trade-offs.
But what if Singapore is not as land scarce as we have been told, and we actually have enough land to build better housing for all?
But isn't Singapore a small country? Why don't we start bringing people in?
While it might be easy to blame immigrants for the need for new housing, the truth is we already have enough land in Singapore for all, if not for private greed. Let me bring you through the stats. Singapore currently has 16 golf courses that sit on 1,072 hectares of land. The government is only wanting to clear 15 hectares of Maju Forest, so why not our golf courses first? In Singapore, 15% of land is allocated to residential housing. Out of the 15%, 8% is used for public housing, where 80% of Singaporeans live. By contrast, 7% of land is used for private housing, where only 20% of Singaporeans live. A quarter of all private housing is made up of landed housing. So when it comes down to it, people living in landed houses take up a disproportionate amount of land as compared to people living in public housing. So really the problem is not between nature versus public good, but public good versus private greed, and we already have a solution for that.
The government has the power to acquire land for public purposes, like these massively inefficient GCBs. They have already used it to kick our parents and grandparents out of their kampongs. So why do the ultra-wealthy get to stay and accumulate capital while the rest of the nation suffers? Workers of Singapore, our land usage is not apolitical and predetermined. It is a political question and we need to stand up for ourselves. So the next time you see yourself walking past one of those huge landed houses in Orchard Road,
Okay, yeah. So right now it's at number 2 lah. Then okay, I will just go to put my mic near where they are singing, can or not? Now you are not streaming me, right? Not streaming.
People discovered how to live, better to teach them how to fish, whatever way the saying goes. But while the rest worked hand in hand, others profit off their land, drilling far and deep and making holes. Everyone using AI thinks they're a genius, exploring resources at the cost of convenience. stood on solid ground. A couple of billionaires was all it took, destroying and erasing what the world had built. Thank you. This next song I'm going to do is a song that I wrote this week specifically for this rally. It's a song about the animals and the trees and the forests and how we're all connected as one. This song is called Where Life Is From. What's gonna happen tomorrow? I'm really not so sure. I'm gonna tell you what I see today. The sky that is blue and clear, boundless for birds to discover, soaring for hours on end, feasting and flying and squawking as they do, teaching their tunes to their friends. I feel so lucky to hear them every day. Never alone when I walk to the train. Embrace the warmth of a moment in the sun. Isn't it magic? That's where all life is from. Lizards that leap and scuttle, centipedes in the sand, hundreds of hermits way from the shore to humans that live on the land. Then the world goes a little slower, and day turns into night. The moon says hello to the civets and deer, camouflaged out of our sight. I feel so lucky to know the grass is ours, sheltering thousands and thousands of hearts. Embrace the warmth of a moment in the sun. Isn't it magic? That's where all life is from. We have everything we need, branches to build a village, leaves that recycle, air for our lungs, water that flows through the weeds. The egos keep getting bigger. Some of us let greed take root, planting selfish thoughts, disastrous plans, biting more than we can chew. I feel so lucky to know I'm not alone. I'll use all my words to defend my home. We won't forget about the warmth of the sun. Isn't it magic? That's where all life is from. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee.
I posted it on my story, not to plug my Instagram, but my Instagram is Renee N5 if you want to see it.
The other side of the park so you don't block the booths. Please move. I'm looking at you guys. Alright. We are very, very heartened that all of you came down today on a hot Sunday afternoon and on such short notice. Today, we rally against further deforestation in Singapore as well as critique the undemocratic process in which land is zoned for development. We rally for the future of our forests and the land that we call home.
As many of you guys know, announcements for deforestation are not new. Whenever a new EIA feedback period pops up, we try to highlight it to our platform and make sure everyone tries to fill it in time. You know, we make sure we write our feedback, we write in, but we realize it only falls onto deaf ears. But over the past month, we have seen huge grassroots momentum organized by hundreds of residents, nature groups, and everyday working class Singaporeans who demand more, yet have not received clear answers.
Today we question the government. Does Singapore really not have enough land for HDBs? Or are they just reserved for the ultra wealthy for their golf courses and good class bungalows? Why is there a lack of transparency and accessibility in the government's decision-making processes? Why does the government insist that if people demand to preserve our natural spaces, that the working class should be subject and accept a lack of accessible public housing? As you all know today, our rally is titled Maju for the People. But we are not just fighting for Maju Forest.
Yeah, this rally is titled Maju for the People because Maju is such a powerful word. It is Malay for progress. It's this idea of moving forward, onwards, and towards something better for all of us.
Today, we want to make sure that progress is defined on the terms of the working class, the vast majority of Singaporeans, instead the elite few.
Exactly. And the state often tries to paint this black and white picture of progress that the working classes need for public housing needs to be pit against nature. But don't you think this is a false choice?
100%. Singapore currently has 16 golf courses that take up 1,000 hectares of land. That's 1.5% of Singapore's land. For context, the government only wanted to remove 15 hectares of Maju Forest. Removing one golf course will be far more than that.
Exactly. And let's not forget the comically humongous good class bungalows that house these ultra wealthy people. There are currently 2,800 GCBs in Singapore, the smallest of which have a land plot size of at least 1,400 square meters. In fact, some of them even go up until over 3,000 square meters. Hey, isn't this like 65 times the size of a 2-room flexi HDB? How many working class families can this plot of land house?
Under the Land Acquisition Act, the government has power to acquire land for public purposes, including the massively land inefficient GCBs and golf courses. So the problem is not a lack of space for nature versus public housing, but public good versus private greed. There is an unequal distribution of space and resources between working class citizens and the ultra wealthy in Singapore.
And that's why from Maju Forest to Gillman Barracks or East Coast Park and more, we fight for what's left. We rally to Maju, to progress for a future defined by what is sustainable and equitable and healthy for the vast majority of humanity and life, rather than the profit-seeking interests of the few who don't care about our nature.
Today, we have a series of speeches by people across the community, poetry readings, performances, and sing-alongs. But before we start, let's warm up a bit more and get to know each other. Can we have a show of hands and screams? Who is your first time at Hong Lim Park today? your first but not your last rally. A lot of people also ask us, what makes Maju Forest or Telok Blangah Hills so special this time round? There was previous rounds of deforestation, but why have we not gathered? It is truly efforts of the residents of Sunset Way and Telok Blangah Hill who have rallied together and organized their communities to stand up for the forest. So, how many of you are from Sunset Way today or Clementi area? Make some noise! And how many of you are from the Gillman Barracks area at Telok Blangah? But of course, this rally is not just for residents of this area. It's for everyone in Singapore who has ever experienced and enjoyed the beautiful nature spaces in Singapore. So of course, today we are joined by folks from all over the country. So make some noise if you are here today to protect our forests. So before we go into the speeches proper, we like to set some context. A couple of days ago, Minister Alvin Tan said, we will have to accept that clearing less of the forest, in brackets, mean that we can build fewer homes on both sides for fellow Singaporeans. I think the minister got the wrong message. We don't want our homes built on our forests. We want them built elsewhere, on our golf courses and good class bungalows. We don't want to see once-off concessions. We want to see real change in how our government defines development, and we want to see the government empowering the people in decision-making processes, not just an afterthought in closed-door consultations. So today we rally for 3 demands. We want to protect our natural areas, we want to let the people decide how to organize our land, and we want to make sure that we in the working class. Okay, but enough of us yapping. We've got a great lineup of different communities who care about our natural spaces to speak, recite poetry, perform, and lead sing-alongs. So before I introduce our first speaker, can we invite the folks blocking the booths once again to move to the other side of the park, please? Or move forward, there's some space in front as well. Let's brave the sun together. Please move, please move. Okay, so to introduce our very first speaker, their name is Inya. She is a university student and she'll be sharing her perspective as a resident of Sunset Way. Like this.
Hi everyone, I'm Inya and I go by she, her pronouns. As we want to make this event accessible for everybody, I'll first be giving some visual description of my surroundings and you'll also hear the thing. So once again, I'm a Chinese woman with brown hair wearing a green t-shirt and a red bandana. I'm standing on this small mound at Hong Lim Park, speaking in front of all of you who are here today in solidarity with our forests and our future. I've been a resident of Sunset Way since I was 5, and for the past 17 years, the entrance to Maju Forest has been a familiar sight. I see it on my way to the bus stop, to the coffee shop, or to my favourite, the Sunset Way branch of Springleaf Prata. In 2022, I ventured into the forest for the first time, and I've only grown to love Maju Forest for its wild, unkempt nature, a rare sight to see in Singapore. But on 10th July, when news broke that this forest near me, as well as Gillman Barracks, would be cleared for housing, the first thing I felt wasn't shock or sadness or anger. I just remembered thinking, oh, another one. Because before 10th July, there was 30th June, when the EIA report for Long Island was released, which nature groups said underestimated the amount of negative impacts that will have on fish biodiversity. There was 19 June when it was reported that 15 hectares of the Sembawang North Forest will be deforested for housing. There was 1st December 2025 when the headlines announced that over 52 hectares of Maju Forest will be developed for the Jurong Innovation District. And there was 8 September 2016 when the master plan for the 700-hectare Tengah town was unveiled. Over 40% of Tengah Forest has since been cleared, and that's more than 280 hectares, making it one of the most extensive forest loss that Singapore has witnessed in recent history. Maju and Gillman are not isolated cases. They are part of a broader pattern of how this country has been treating its natural spaces. But what put me out of this initial feeling of resignation was the community. I've had the privilege to meet and work with a wonderful group of residents who I didn't know beforehand, and they have all contributed so proactively to this cause. Even more surprisingly, I've witnessed an entire country band together for these two forests. People made group chats and created EIA explainers, email templates to MPs, and proposals for alternative sites. We organized watch parties for the parliamentary hearing and Zoom calls to complete the feedback form together. We went into the very spaces that were on death row and documented its life. Yet, on 4th August, we were told that development would still go ahead and all that we could influence was how. Today, I want to present a declaration that my neighbours and I have put together in response to this, and I believe it echoes the sentiments of people living near Gillman Forest as well. Firstly, we ask for avoidance to be placed before mitigation. A forest should not be a piece of land that can be so easily spent, not just because of its ecological value, but also its social and cultural one. Forests are so crucial for our health and well-being. They purify the air, they provide a place for respite, and more crucially, in the midst of climate change, which you can feel now in this sweltering heat, they are our natural air cons, mitigating urban heat. If we want to prioritize human interests, then redo the EIA and account for the health, climate, and social-cultural impacts before making any irreversible decisions. Secondly, we want HDB to truly include people in decision-making. That doesn't mean publishing a 200-plus page report and then opening a form for people to submit their feedback. It means explaining the EIA in multiple languages and having more in-person engagement sessions to capture the voices of those who are not tech-savvy enough to use an online form. Because if significant parts of the community cannot easily understand and participate in the process, then that is not meaningful participation at all. Thirdly, we want HDB to demonstrate why it must be Gillman and Maju Forest. I'm sure we know that clearing a forest is not a decision to be made lightly. So if it is truly necessary, then the public deserves to understand why and why now. In math class, we are always told to show our working, so do the same here. Show us the numbers, the actual housing demand projections driving this decision. Show us the timelines. Show us the timelines. How soon do these forests actually need to be cleared that justifies that other alternatives are just not fast enough? And show us the rationale for this decision. Because when the EIA itself literally states that there are still significant negative impacts even after mitigation, shouldn't there be a reason for why this level of loss is still accepted? If there's no transparency, how is the public supposed to trust that the right decisions are being made? But this isn't just about any one forest. Because after this is over, there will be another to defend, and another, and another. So the question isn't, what should we do for Maju, for Gillman, for Maju Forest, or even blue spaces like East Coast Park? What we're asking is for everything just mentioned to become a legally enforceable standard applied to every proposed development that threatens a natural space. We want earlier public participation that can actually influence outcomes, and that includes the decision to not develop in the first place. Because if it's just going to go ahead regardless, then what is exactly the point of doing an EIA? Most importantly, we want safeguards. We want limits to the amount of environmental and social damage that can be accepted. If golf courses and brownfield sites can be protected by their leases or by the fact that they are already zoned for other uses, how is it fair that a forest cannot be protected by its sheer ecological and social value that it holds? If a forest can be the fastest option for development, then we don't deserve to call ourselves a city in nature. So if you want to find out more about this declaration and our asks, you can talk to Sunset Way residents or Telok Blangah residents at the tables over there after all the speeches. They'll be there until 6:30 p.m. So, look, I'm here wearing multiple hats. So besides being a Sunset Way resident, I'm also an environmental studies student, a nature lover, and someone who eventually wants to live in a place on my own. These desires don't have to be in conflict with each other. A house may be a basic human need, but a livable climate, a connection to nature, and a nation that truly values the opinion of its inhabitants, that is what makes it a home. Green spaces like Tagore, Totak, and Serangoon River Forest are on the chopping block. So if you live near a forest at risk, or you enjoy visiting them, or you just care about them, please fight for them. The turnout at this rally is amazing, and I think it sets a precedent for the future that we want for our natural spaces. It can be overwhelming, but if there's anything I've learned from this, is that you are not alone. So gather your neighbours, email your MPs, and advocate as early as possible before it becomes yet another headline. Maybe then, natural spaces in Singapore will finally be valued for what it is and not what it can become. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Inya. Next, we have another university student and an active member of the student environmental movement in Singapore, Therese. Yes, but before I invite Therese up here, could we invite everyone standing near the booths to move to the other side of the park where there are also shaded spots on the other side. Please move. Therese! Give it up for Therese!
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Okay, so my name is Therese. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm here today in a green dress standing on also a mound. I'm a resident of Bedok Reservoir, and I grew up next to a forest as well, which I'm very proud of, and I saw outside my window every single day. It died in 2019 without a trace. Someone told me that what I saw is a preview of what might happen to the forest that we are discussing today. So I'm here to tell you all today about what it's like to watch a forest die. Does anyone know of the forest that lives by Bedok Reservoir? It's okay if nobody knows, because it was nameless when she was born and she was nameless when she came to die. She's gone now without a trace. No one ever reported her in the media, and I do not see any forest plots left standing. But though it remains missing in our national conversations, she remains in every corner of my childhood memory, and she remains realer than life to me. Her ghost lives on forever within me. This forest was around 9 hectares. She watched me grow, beginning right from when I was an infant. When I was 16, my teacher asked the class, "How many of you are satisfied with the nature in your neighborhood?" I shot up my hand immediately. I was so proud and pleased to tell all my classmates about the forest next to me. Then I looked around and I was stunned to realize that in a class of 40, only 3 had their hands raised up. It hit me then that I was privileged. I was one of the rare ones. Because when you grow up with a forest next to you, you never think about the day that she will die. When you grow up with a forest next to you, you never realize that the trees are such an integral part of your life. So when the bulldozers came in 2019, I was thoroughly confused. There was no public notice or explanation given as to what was happening. Only later on did I realize that at a far corner of the forest where I did not go to, there was a notice there. There was no EIA, no opportunity for public consultation. I had simply no idea as to what was going on. And I was getting very desperate seeing this land that I knew and loved ripped to pieces right before my eyes. I emailed HDB to report an illegal forest clearing. I considered calling the police. Today, nothing from the forest has been saved. It is gone from the face of the earth like it never existed. I feel so helpless that I can only now mentally document how this forest dropped to its last breath. Let me begin my story, and I'll read a chapter from my diary in 2019. Like a cancer patient, the forest is losing its hair far too quickly, chunk by chunk. What was initially a thick and thriving piece of nature was now reduced to some leafless wooden, skinny, balding sticks. For the first time in the 18 years of my life, I could see through those leaves, those bits of blue sky that hung between the branches. Pallidly, they swayed in the wind, trying to stand tall. I remember the queasy stomach churning horror in me as the monotonous growl of the machine cracked the air and they drove their claws into the ground. I listened to the indifferent, repetitive motions, claw, pull, and throw. And when the trees fell, it was not with the tune of a single thud, but instead with the uncanny similarity to the sound of a million breaking bones. I remember one particularly stubborn tree. Beaten to the ground, she kept pouncing back up, as if she was telling them, "You can kill the others, but you can't kill me." I watched her fight with much fascination. After fighting with the tree for a while, the bulldozer gave up and moved aside, and I wondered for a split second if they would let that tenacious tree stay. And instead, to my horror, they began digging a whole circle around the tree and instead tore open the whole piece of land and ripped the tree over. With utter brute force, they shut the tree up. Having lost its spirit, the tree now lay motionless on the ground, accepting death, its mouth still hanging wide open. I screamed and yanked the curtain in front of me to hide everything that I had saw. I could not believe what just happened. I was taking A-levels that year and it just took everything in me to shut down my emotions and focus on my studies. I began coming home late at night so that I would not see the color of death after the sky turned dark. If I came home early, I would shut the curtains so I would not hear the sound of death. But the worst part of a forest dying, I can tell you, however, is when the land transforms from brown to blood red and you gasp, there has been a slaughter. For several years, I could not look for more than 10 seconds at the buildings that were now rising rapidly upon the flattened forest that I once knew and loved. As a lost 18-year-old trying to make sense of the world, you try to get over your grief by telling yourself you are crazy and everything is normal. And so I told myself that in a meritocratic society where every luxury ought to be earned, I have done nothing to deserve a lush and economically inactive forest next to me. I don't deserve to live in some kind of Eden when majority of other Singaporeans don't. Now I believe I was gaslighting myself because I was so confused. Everything happened too fast, too soon, with too little explanation. Because of my personal experience, I'm sure now, and I believe that there are other forests that have disappeared into the nothingness without an EIA too. Perhaps it was predetermined that these forests are too low in ecological value to deserve an EIA. But without an EIA also, how do you even determine that it was not valuable at all? These guidelines are not public. Thus, I call for increasing transparency around the guidelines on how agencies determine whether an EIA needs to be performed or not. I do not tell this story now, 6 years on, to demand for Bedok Reservoir Forest to be saved because it is not possible anymore. I understand there was public housing need behind its clearing, but what I never understood is why we never took the time to understand the forest before deciding she had to go. Do you know too now of places that have been altered without EIAs or incomplete EIAs? I heard from someone who had gone inside the Bedok Reservoir Forest that there was a Buddha statue inside, which suggested some residents used the site as a sacred religious site as well. Looking at historical maps, I believe the forest started off as grassland back in the 1960s, so I'm sure that it might have been home to a thriving ecosystem, deserving of an EIA. All these social, cultural, and environmental stories of the forest have now forever vanished into the air. Perhaps then, that is our biggest loss. Not the loss of the forest, but the fact that we don't even know what we lost. Bedok Reservoir Forest has now faded into a hazy childhood memory for me now, documented miserably in the form of green dots on historical maps. I beg you all now not to ask me, who was she? Because I can only bury my head in my hands and tell you, I don't know. Thank you.
Mic test.
Thank you so much for the emotional sharing, Therese. Indeed, we often think of development and humans as separate beings, but we are one in nature, right? And when our forests get cut down, we feel it as well. And so, taking a bit of a break from these speeches, I think it's a great time for us to introduce our next speaker, Julian, who will be performing some poetry about the forest and how he feels about the deforestation announcements.
Hello, my name is Julian. I am a poet and ecological storyteller. Sorry, give me a moment. I am a Chinese male, wearing a red shirt and a green scarf, and I'm also standing on a mound in front of many amazing people. Today I'll be reading a poem by... Where's my phone? Today I'm reading a poem... Oh no. Today I'm reading a poem by my friend Jovina. I can't find my phone. I'm reading a poem by Jovina. It's her words. And I adapted this poem and I'm reading it on behalf of everyone. So here goes. It's called We Need the Forest to Stay. We Need the Forest to Stay by Jovina Loon of Gentle Walks, adapted and read by Julian Lee. This poem is dedicated for Mother Earth and Minister of State Alvin Tan. What do our children inherit if trees are never allowed to stay long enough to become grandmothers and guides? We need the forest to stay for Singapore to have a soul. We have the comforts of our roads, clean transport, and shiny malls, but they are not part of the living story. Functional things do not make us feel. We do not belong to buildings. We are nature, and we belong to nature. When you feel drained of life, where does your heart lead you to? Just like the land, the sons and daughters of Singapore are maximized in every possible way, overworked and constantly drained of life. Where do we go when we have to find respite when the city forces us to the edge?
Forest. Yeah, this rally is titled
Nature is where we go to find our soul. It is the living that restores the living. And the humans that are restored go on to light others with their torch. The forests save us endlessly. So yes, we need what is still left of our forests. It takes a year to clear the forest, but a century for them to become. Parks and gardens cannot replace them. How do we teach humility when our children are only shown that humans get to dominate and destroy for our own benefit? Now it is our turn to show up for them, to give our nature kids a chance at life too. Let's be the voice for those who don't have one. We need the forest to stay so that Singapore has a soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian, for sharing us those very beautiful words. So this is just a PSA. At the end of the rally at 6 p.m, we are going to be taking a photo from Park Royal Collection, the hotel above, to see how many of us have shown up today. This is super important because the government generally responds to rallies with over 2,000 people. So thank you for coming today on a very hot Sunday afternoon once again. Next up, we have a very special speaker or duo of speakers. Zijing and Sohua are up next, and they represent the children and youth from Forest School. Please give them a hand. Check.
Oh no, it's okay.
Hello, I'm Safa and I'm 14 years old. Nice to meet you all. I'm wearing a green floral skirt that I recently got. Not green button up and a light green headscarf. So anyway, I work as a junior coach at Forest School by 100 Paths. And I'm also streaming this year, which means like from Sec 2 to Sec 3, decides like whether you go to JC or Poly. So a lot of pressure lah from school.
Yeah! Hi, I'm Zijing in Calming Tissue. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm a nature-based experiential educator like Sofwa. Today, we stand here with all of you to be in solidarity with our natural spaces, and we'd like to take the time to acknowledge the land that we stand on and the custodians who tend to this island named Pulau Ujong.
The island at the end.
In the last 200 years since the colonization of modern Singapore, this island has lost 95% of its original primary forest cover. Due to agriculture and urbanization, primary forests made up less than 1% of this island.
Less than 1%, can you imagine?
That's 201 hectares.
Sometimes all these numbers can be really hard to comprehend.
And sometimes these numbers can only be clearer to a connection to the land.
And for me, that place is the forest. I never really liked going to the forest. Sure, I love the animals and the plants, but the sun made me hot, sweaty and really uncomfortable. So when I went to forest school, right, you could say it was very forced lah. But slowly, the forest I once disliked started to look different to me. I also decided to say yes to being a junior coach. Sure, I still had trouble getting out of bed. I mean, who doesn't? I do not like going to school. I don't like going to work. But going to the forest became easier. Seeing all the other children play and smile and feeling the wind and sun shining down on us, it slowly became a sanctuary. Not a place where I just went to, but a place where I belonged. When I enjoy myself or I'm just being me, I'm told I'm being too much or over dramatic, that I should listen, sit up straight, score a certain grade. I feel that price until I cry more than I would want to admit. Bite myself because it helps me forget, and tear myself down because it feels right. I drown myself in music and videos because then my mind doesn't run or think ahead.
But the forest doesn't judge.
It doesn't give me expectations or tells me what to do. It lets me breathe, it lets me smile, and helps my mind go quiet, the good kind. The forest lets me play, be immature, and do impulsive things, like climb a tree or jump in a muddy puddle. I don't feel any eyes, looks of judgment. It just lets me be. And now I hear that the beaches and forests I love so much are about to face destruction. Soon the places which hold my happy memories will be gone. No more picnics or family games. No more Saturday mornings which help me calm down and detox. The adults tell us not to care, but how can I not when our future is in despair? And so I hope that before we lose more places like this, with their mighty trees and sandy beaches, please step up and make a change so that more happy memories can be made.
Yeah! And indeed, when we spend time in nature, we don't just learn about nature, we also remember our interconnections, our shared kinship. Growing up, I always felt like a misfit too. I struggled to sit still in classrooms, and report cards often came back with comments like distracted, lazy, have to try a little harder. For years, I thought I was the problem. But 3 years ago, I attended my first forest school session and found that my neurodivergence was not something to be fixed. There, I witnessed children just like me. We can get wet, get dirty, get lost and be free. Like Software said, everyone was embraced in the forest. No one is broken, no one to be fixed. There's no finishing lines or exams to be graded. There's no facilities, the forest was our school. Nature as our co-teacher allowed us to learn from the birds, the bugs and the trees. And it was also in the forest where I learned how powerful language can be. How many of you here have gone into national parks and seen big red signs that says, no entry, park under maintenance, no entry? Many of us, right? But so have I. But yet, in a human-centered, in a life-centered, life-affirming environment, the language can be different. Every single decision made, not by its economic value, but based on how the choices can ensure that all life can flourish. Children who spend an extended amount of time in the forest naturally grow to become stewards of the place. Instead of no entry signs, the children in forest school would tell passers-by, let's not go there. We are letting the forest rest. Instead of be careful, don't fall down. They learn to listen to their bodies and seek permissions from the tree. It is our firm belief that when children and the inner child in each of us here today can grow and play between the earth and the stars, the future can be vast. And so here's an invitation to each of you. Come and spend time in the wild. Join us in defending our untamed spaces. Where can you find the world's largest living reptile?
The world's longest snake.
Asia's largest ant. Asia's largest deer.
Fireflies, glowing mushrooms and pangolins.
They can all be found here. They live in our midst. We don't go far. Travel savannas or in our forests, the marsh and the shores of Pulau Ujong, of Singapura. In the wild lives here too. Our current way of life will leave us and our future generations underprepared to respond to the poly-crises happening in the world. We can only protect what we love and understand, and a new way of being is essential. Are you satisfied with the results of the current development plans?
No!
Yes!
A future where our more than human friends lose their homes?
A future where children learn this is the only way?
I don't want a future where both parent and child have to worry.
Is it safe to play outside?
Do I need to wear a mask?
Don't let your shoes get mud.
A child worrying about the air?
When they should be free to play anywhere? Our children deserve to live in a world that is safe, and they should not have to carry the burden of saving the world. They are trying to look at us right now. How we model radical imaginative empathy and courageous action can look like. Let's make growing up a little easier, a little gentler for our children and our children's children. Come, let's reimagine. Come, let's reimagine. A future where we move away from business as usual, away from paths of extraction and exploitation.
Flourishing path of collaboration. And so, on behalf of all the children, what good are our grades if the world... wait. Sorry. So, on behalf... I recently got
for all of us. 1, 2, 3.
Don't leave forest in the past.
This land is for all of us.
Don't leave forest in the past.
This land is for all of us. Because we are not protecting nature. We are nature protecting ourselves. Our flourishing future.
Thank you.
you so much to Songhua and Tzu from Forest School. Indeed, we are nature protecting ourselves. Next up, we have Santosh. Santosh is an ex-public servant, and he will be reflecting on what it takes to be a good ancestor. Santosh, please.
Mic test. Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Santosh. I'm wearing a red t-shirt with dark blue pants. I've got a pair of spectacles on and a silver bangle on my right hand. I'm here next to the mound, in front of the mound. The energy for my segment will be a bit softer and more. So there are three very different parts to the sharing. The first part is about connecting to outer Gaia. So you see Gaia outside, that's the first part. We'll connect Gaia outside. Part number two will connect with Gaia within. Feel the Gaia within. And part number three is where we harmonize of outer Gaia with inner Gaia. Alright? So it's an activity or a game. And I invite you to just join me in this contemplative exercise. Look at the world up around you. Just observe and listen quietly. No talking, just observe with your five senses. The living earth, the sense of aliveness of Mother Earth. The dominant view is that Mother Earth is a piece of dead rock that we can mine and extract and exploit. But the shift we are enacting right now, right here at Hong Lim Park, is Mother Earth is this giant living organism. And we humans are like gut microbacteria. We are just bacteria in the intestines of Mother Earth. So look around, just look around. Can you see the eyes of Mother Earth? Can you see the ears? Feel the presence of Gaia. Listen. Listen deeply. Listen with your ears, with your sight, with the smell, with the taste, and with the touch. Feel Gaia's presence outside of us. This living, sentient, conscious organism. Connect with living Gaia. We'll do that for another 10 seconds in silent contemplation. Part number two. As you feel the presence of outer Gaia, you will begin to realize there is an unfolding within you. That's your inner Gaia. I invite you to now close your eyes and just aliveness that's happening in your body. Listen to your body. Emotions, feelings, thoughts, and sensations. This body is a gift from nature. It's alone for a short period of time, We are stewards of Mother Earth outside of us, and this body is an instrument of service for outer Gaia. It's given to us on loan, and this body will return back one day to outer Gaia. Feel Mother Earth's longing and calling from within you, for we are not separate from outer Gaia. There is no separation between Earth on the outside and Earth on the inside. Feel the Earth element, it's the dense element within your body. And then feel the water element of 70% water. Where did this water come from? Feel the origins of the water in your inner. Now, do you know how many human cells we've got? We've got 37 trillion human cells. Each and every one of these 37 trillion cells has got about 3 mitochondria, which is producing energy and heat from within your cells. Now feel the heat element within you. Where does the energy come from? It all came from the sun. Feel your connection to the sun. With the heat element.
We are not protecting nature. We are nature protecting ourselves.
Body breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, taking air from the trees and breathing out. Giving back to the trees. Witness and observe this profound relationship that we have between our inner Gaia and outer Gaia. And the last element is space. Between the nucleus and the electrons, there's a lot of space. There's so much space within this body. If you squeeze this body, you can fit it in the tiny little matchbox. And that space is shared between inner Gaia and outer Gaia. Now as you tune in to the rhythms of your inner Gaia, your circadian rhythms, your respiratory rhythms, your circulatory rhythms, can you feel your heartbeat, your emotions, your feelings? Welcome and allow them all. For what we resist, persists. Just welcome and just allow them all. And slowly over time, this separation between inner Gaia and outer Gaia starts to thin. It starts to dissolve, and we feel part of this broader Earth family. We are not separate from Mother Earth. We are neither part of Mother Earth. We are Earth. We are, and we are the trees of this land. Listen to the longing, to the call of the trees within you. Tune in to the messages they want to pass to you. Third part is the harmonizing of the rhythms. Now you feel the rhythms in outer Gaia and you feel the rhythms within your inner Gaia. Just let them be and let this harmonizing happen slowly at its own time. Another 10 more seconds, just in silent contemplation. Some difficult feelings may come up. Burnout, grief, sadness, anger, envy, hatred. Welcome them all. Just accept and welcome them all. Slowly and gently, and take your time, you can just open your eyes. Give yourself a nice little hug. Connect to your inner Gaia, connect to outer Gaia and living earth. How are y'all feeling? Feeling restful? Feeling a bit more peaceful? Yeah, so this is to add to your tools for activism, for advocacy, for community mobilization. Yeah, so this is just to help you add on to your array of tools when you advocate on behalf of Gaia. Some people are just more sensitive, some people are more introspective or contemplative. This is just a guided exercise that you can use just in service of Gaia. Alright? So these are the three things that I wanted to share through this experience, this activity or game. The last thing I wanted to leave you all with is, because of this journey I've had as an ex-civil servant, I've embarked on this very profound unraveling of a movement called Becoming Good Ancestors. And part of this is a collective that's redesigning economics, which centers Mother Earth. So you're welcome to join this collective and contribute your stories and your ideas to a new form of economics that is more grounded in citizens' lived realities and that centers Mother Earth. And so my last parting takeaway for all of you is something called the donut economics. Yeah, donut economics is something you can share with friends, and we'll use hand gestures. Yeah, and you can share donut economics very simply by using your hands. So basically, I'll use my left hand here. Yeah, so this represents the social foundations. I put it in a fist. Strong social foundations, you squeeze your fist hard. Alright, you can do it with me. Yeah, strong social foundation. Wrap the other hand around and leave a space between your strong social foundations. This becomes the other hand, which I'm moving. This is now your ecological ceiling. Okay? Yeah. Now the space in between this fist and this hand is the donut. Can you see the donut? I'm just gonna munch on the donut. Sweet donut. Okay? So this is donut economics, explained in very simple terms. Now, the history of Singapore's economic development, I'll just give you a very brief history. Early on, economic development and economic growth was in service of building a strong social foundation. So squeeze your left fist hard. Economic growth was a means to an end. That end was building strong social foundations from 1965 to the 2000s. Until 2000s, what happened is you have the breaching of the ecological ceiling. So now you see my other hand shaking, it's breaching, and then it snapped. The ecological ceiling is gone. Once the ecological ceiling is gone, even your social foundation collapse. Okay? Yeah, so this is a short takeaway. Now what we want to do and share with your communities, your friends and your families is economic growth should not become an end unto itself, but rather a means to maintaining strong social foundations without breaching your ecological ceiling. Alright, so that's the end of my sharing. Thank you. Taking air from the
Okay, so we have a change of plans. We will take the photo now. Can I please invite everyone on the periphery of the park to come into the center? Everyone on the stage. at the sides, please come over so that I can take the photo. And you might be a little bit blocked as well, so please try to squeeze towards the center of the park. The camera is facing me at Park Royal Collection Hotel. Yes, raise up your signs. Everybody stand up, please. Stand up.
Just I don't quite understand. Sorry, I think not.
People on the stage,
She said to take it
please
out.
come here because otherwise they can't see you. Every hit is important. Okay, everybody, please take 2 steps away from the white tent. So move towards me, move towards the mount. Come nearer, come nearer. You can bring your stuff and your picnic mats as well. Because the tent is blocking the view. Come near me.
View of Xiangmen, yeah. That's what she gets for the picnic.
Alright, please squeeze in towards the stage, squeeze a bit more. Alright, as we take our photo, we are gonna do some chants. When don't leave forest in the past, you say this land is meant for all of us. Ready? Don't leave forest in the past. Don't leave forest in the past. When I say our land is for the people, you say stop stripping it for capital. Ready? Our land is for the people. Stop stripping it for capital. Our land is for the people. Stop stripping it for Alright, if you're here to support the forest today, make some noise! We will take the photo now.
And Slippy Coffin.
Okay, while you all settle down, I would like to give a shout out to a special person.
That's fine.
Do you guys know that Chek Jawa in Pulau Ubin was slated for development? And our nature groups want it back. Today we have Uncle David, who is almost 80 years old and was part of the nature community back then that won Chek Jawa back for people. Today we will win Maju and Gillman Barracks back.
Mic test, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Debbie. That was really, really cute. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and thank you for having me. Can y'all hear at the back? I heard there was feedback. Okay. Thank you for all the energy during the photo taking and the chanting. May I invite us to take a slow breath together for a moment. Inhale, feel the root down deep beneath the soil, into the core of the planet. You are inextricably linked to this earth. Exhale and hold. Feel your energy field expand outwards towards the people sitting beside you. You are connected with each other, with your shared compassion for our non-human neighbors. Thank you for breathing with me. My name is Kaman. You can call me Kami. And for those that need added visual cues, I'm a petite Chinese woman and I'm wearing blue and green to represent Gaia. I work in sustainability in the day, and at all other times, I use my creativity to share a sense of wonder and reverence for this life on Earth. I follow my heart and curiosity and believe in the need to be abundantly and stubbornly optimistic because giving up is simply not an option. Today I stand here in awe for you, showing up in strength, and I will offer a poem that I wrote a few years ago. French filmmaker Agnes Varda says in a 2008 documentary, if we open people up, we'll find landscapes. If you open me up, you find the crystal hues but as a child, before I set forth, I simply had to feel escape I share and grieve with you today. As all of those 10 fields are both private and public housing, this is a love letter to my largest childhood field. Dear field, where I ran as a child with my siblings to taste freedom, where are you now? Dear field, where I learned to fly kites with my father and my test, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Debbie. That was held. They know not of the green birds that they displaced. They know not of the trees that fell so that their new homes could stand. Or maybe they do. And still live peacefully because, hey, we all need a new home, no? Dear field, you are a practical trade-off, but I value you. While they dream, I mourn for you. The field I cannot bring future children back to. While they go unaware, I celebrate you. The field where I discovered my love for freedom. Dear field where I ran as a child, I know where you are. You in my mind, in my heart. I remember you. I remember you. I remember you. A beauty about tragedy is that it brings people together. In a 2010 book, A Paradise Built in Hell, American historian Rebecca Solnit observes how in the dust of disasters, people step up joyfully with genuine altruism to build life where normal structures are. Disruptions give people the chance to partake in collaborative mutual aid and resourcefulness. against the status quo that promotes and rewards individualism. Mapping that here to home, when the news about Maju and Gillman and Long Island and more were announced, you see this rallying resistance, this sense of gotong royong that is revived and takes center stage, because finally holding hands to stop the bus from falling off the cliff was more important than driving in our own lanes. And speaking about lanes, I think we as a society are here at a tipping point with our urban fabric. We live in a world-class city, but at what cost? What have we forgotten to get here? Singapore is a land that has transformed a lot since its origin, and we have lost over 90% of our primary rainforest. So all the more our secondary forests hold deep value because they are still proof of life before concrete. And the other rare havens of wildness that have been mostly designed out of the urban. You and I both know that life does not follow the clean grid logic of a master planned city. And it is in our wilder green spaces, not the manicured gardens, that we see ourselves mirrored in nature's creative chaos and messy unfurling, because life is messy. City human, I assure you there is wildness within you that only fully exhales and feels like it finally belongs when you are planted in nature, not in the middle of a bustling mall. Do you feel wild in Vivo City? I think forests teach us that to belong, a healthy ecosystem needs diversity to thrive. And in a society like Singapore, I believe that what is left of our forests inspire us with courage to take the path less taken. In Professor Lily Kong's recent article, she writes, National Day is an exercise in intergenerational imagination. By being here today, by showing up, you are partaking in an act of intergenerational reimagination. Because we are making a stand on what we believe to be important and valuable. We are sending a message to future generations that we want to steward our land with more care, more balance, and more transparency. This is living activism. Society loves to create labels and gatekeep them, so you have to prove it, you have to earn it, you have to work for it. But activism is not something you have to prove, it is something that we all simply are. It is baked into us to care and act for what we love. I end with the last few lines of a poem by Pakistani human and environmental rights advocate Aisha Siddiqa, who has given me permission to share this. It's titled, On Another Panel About Climate, They Asked Me to Sell the Future and All I've Got is a Love Poem. The earth remembers everything. Our bodies are the color of the earth and we are nobodies. Been born from so many apocalypses, what's one more? Love is still the only revenge. It grows each time the earth is set on fire. But for what it's worth, I'll do this again. Gamble on humanity 100 times over. Commit to life unto life as the trees fall and take us with them. I'll follow love into extinction. A most beautifully tragic line, because strip away all that you accumulate in life. That is essentially all that we are really here to do. Follow love into extinction. And there's no alternative because everyone and everything that we care about is here on planet Earth. My friend Nikki, Singaporean conservation filmmaker, put it in very simple words. To protect our wild spaces is our collective responsibility and burden. This is our duty. I am Earth, and therefore I am. We are of Earth, and therefore we are. May we choose Earth over and over again. Let us follow love into extinction. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that lovely poem. Up next we have Yifeng, who is a writer, and he's here to talk about how the EIA process works and how we in Singapore, us in the working class, should have more of a say in how we participate in the democratic process of organizing our land.
Do you guys all agree that we should have more of a say? Do you all agree that the government should be organizing our land based on what the people, the working class, want and need? Alright, so give it up to Yifeng, who will be taking us through his speech.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, wait, it's a bit low for me. Wait, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay, so... Yeah, I need a stand. Sorry. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So, fellow nature lovers, my name is Yifeng, and today I'm humbled and grateful to be standing in the presence of an assembly of kindred souls. I wear a few hats. I'm a writer, I'm an environmental activist with SG Climate Rally. Today I'm mainly here in my capacity as an ecologist. So yeah, women in STEM, let's go. So everyone here, let's put on our Women in STEM caps for like 5 minutes, and like I'll try to make the scientific explanation like as accessible and painless as possible. Okay, so everyone who is here today is using their voice and their actions to act on behalf of those who cannot speak. Trees, animals, coasts, and soils, they are the lifeblood of our planet and the beings that we share this earth with. I've been advocating for our island's biodiversity since I started leading intertidal walks as a child. I was like a baby when they decided to switch around the reclamation for Chek Jawa, but it had like a huge impact on my life and my interests. I've witnessed countless times the interest that fellow Singaporeans have shown in our natural heritage, and I know firsthand that no matter what the stereotypes are, we are not an apathetic bunch. After I completed university, I worked in consultancy and gained further insight into the inner workings of our country's land development and coastal reclamation policy. In May this year, I authored an essay on JOM Media, which some of you may have read. It's titled The Fight for Singapore's Wild Spaces, and it looked at the role of environmental impact assessments, EIA, in the process of land development. What I've learned through the process of researching my articles is that EIAs are a necessary and important first step, but that is all that they are. A first step, and a flawed one at that. EIA report
live in a world-class city, but at what cost?
the nature groups that they consult and the environmental consultancies that they employ tell you without doubt that tree planting is not at all an effective countermeasure to deforestation. You cannot replace decades-old trees and mature forest soils with a manicured lawn of scrawny saplings and call it a day. There is no meaningful substitute for the loss of our forests. If EIA is to be a truly effective measure in responsible development, there needs to be more accountability and more democratic participation. Asymmetries of power and information should not be tolerated. Plans for Singapore's remaining nature areas, including those in Windsor, Tagore Springleaf and Baha and others, need to be actively addressed. Releases and town halls should be assessed moving forward to give citizens the chance to voice their concerns and of course, all of the remaining nature areas in Singapore right now should be protected from future developments. As another point, right now, EIA should not tunnel vision only on individual parcels of land, because that is not how nature works. Nature cannot be divided into grids and arbitrary borders. I want everyone to imagine with me for a moment what Singapore is like for an animal such as the Sunda pangolin. Close your eyes if it will help you better envision a day in the life of this slow-moving, ground-based creature. A pangolin spends much of its time on the forest floor, wading amongst fallen leaves in search of trails of yummy ants and termites. In Singapore, where our forests are already small, need to move between forests over the course of the day in search of food and potential mates. The more trees we clear along the ecological corridors that pangolins use, such as Maju Forest, the more likely they are to go to sleep hungry, to have to travel further to meet their needs, and to risk being crushed by high-speed traffic when they traverse hazardous open roads. The Nature Communities Initiative, our Wild Spaces 2.0, and even MParks' own ecological profiling exercise has shown this. Effective land planning has to consider our island's land and water as a unified system. It has to consider how further disruption to our island's shrinking ecosystems will have a cascade effect with far-flung consequences. For example, land reclamation in Tuas has affected populations of marine life in the western Johor Straits. And this in turn has damaged the livelihood of subsistence-based fishermen in West Johor. If we are to truly make Singapore a city in nature, and I'm using air quotes here, then we need to do better by our island's non-human inhabitants. We need to coexist with them to create an environment where human and non-human life can flourish. And the most important step to do that right now is a moratorium on all deforestation. In conclusion, I leave all of you the same message that I left for my readers in my essay. No issue is too small. Government listens to our control, but at the very least, we must speak up on behalf of those that cannot speak. Our forests and our seas are our natural heritage, not the state's. Thank you.
Thank you, Feng, very much for that important perspective. I think we all, including the government, respond to these scientific rationale things. Alright, next up we have Gabriel, who is a journalist, and she's speaking to push for more meaningful public participation in Singapore's planning decisions. Please put your hands together for Gabriel. Hello? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. My name is Gabriel. I'm an independent journalist and fellow member of the public concerned about the fates of our, dwindling wild spaces. So for those who need added visual cues, I'm a Chinese woman with short black hair wearing a green top and jeans.
So I have to admit that I really only started engaging with EIAs in my capacity as a climate journalist. I read my first 2 EIAs last April when I stumbled upon JTC's plans to reclaim land off Changi for an aviation park. The EIAs were only viewable in person and by appointment, as I was told they contained sensitive information. I was also made to sign an NDA before being given 2 hours to pour through 2 thick binders of jargon-filled reports that ran hundreds of pages long. And here's the kicker. I only found out about the EIAs a week after the public feedback had closed, published my story, and every media outlet had reported findings yet. It was too late for the people to submit their feedback. It made me ask, what's the point of these EIAs? As Yifeng mentioned, they are often cited by our leaders as evidence that the public had been consulted about development plans. But in this case, I'm not sure I would consider quietly putting up your EIAs on the URA website with no accompanying press releases or social media posts, genuine public engagement. Do you consider that genuine public engagement? Okay. So the series of EIAs released in the past 2 months have resurfaced this question for me. At one point, there were 6 overlapping EIA feedback windows, including for Sunset Way, Gillman Barracks, and the Long Island project. Almost every week, there was a new headline announcing a wild space that would soon be lost to development. But what has been really heartening to watch is how the public has responded. Instead of being overwhelmed into inaction, people have been coming together to organize ground-up dialogues, draft email templates to MPs, and put together detailed proposals for alternative sites. I have personally benefited so much from lurking in the Telegram group started by residents of Sunset Way and Telok Blangah. Like, shout out to you guys if you're here. As well as from hearing the stories shared by thriving sub-communities built around the rewilded shores of Singapore, including the surfing community at Longkang Point and fishing enthusiasts who are rushing to record all the newly discovered species around Bedok Jetty before preparatory works on the Long Island project commence later this year. As a journalist, a big part of my job is to listen to the public, to ask thoughtful questions on its behalf, and to not be afraid to unsettle prevailing narratives. And the prevailing narrative that I currently see being unsettled is that of no choice, or bobian. It's an all too familiar narrative that you and I have grown up hearing. We had no choice but to merge with Malaysia in 1963. We had no choice but to reclaim the southern islands previously inhabited by the indigenous Orang Laut to meet pressing industrial needs in the 90s. And now, we have no choice with greenfields. We have no choice but to reclaim the eastern coast to defend ourselves against rising tides. This bobian narrative is a convincing one until you realize that choices have been made in all these cases on behalf of the public. The reason this narrative has stuck all these years is because the government has generally made good choices in the best interests of Singaporeans. I'm being very charitable here. But it shouldn't distract us from the fact that choices are constantly being made on our behalf, based on a certain set of assumptions about what represents our best interests. In the case of Maju Forest, the assumption was made that the majority of Singaporeans want housing at all costs, even if it eats into our dwindling greenfield sites. For Gillman Barracks, the assumption was made that the public had been sufficiently consulted on development plans. If only we had paid attention at the 2024 Committee of Supply debate and again at the 2025 URA Master Plan exhibition prior to the 4-week feedback period that just passed. And for the Long Island project, the assumption was made that the government has noted suggestions to include nature-based solutions, stated that all our reclamation sand will be sourced from legally permissible areas, and trumped up its role as a key coastal defense for our nation, that we should not dwell too much on the potential destruction it may cause to local and regional ecosystems and communities. But are these fair assumptions to make about what we value? Recent petitions suggest that a significant amount of the public's best interests have failed to be captured in these assumptions and choices. A public opinion poll by Lianhe Zaobao, for instance, showed that 79% of respondents indicated support for redevelopment of brownfield sites over greenfield sites. Currently, there are few avenues for the public to provide feedback early on. While most EAA findings have been made public since 2019 after HDB faced backlash for clearing more of Tengah Forest town, clear at the point of their release. Some legal experts have suggested that such inconsistency in the level of public engagement across projects could be improved with a dedicated EAIA law in Singapore. Many countries in the region actually already have one. Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Japan, and Hong Kong all have legally enforceable EIA regimes that mandate studies for major construction projects and can even be grounds for halting development. So what's stopping us? Every drawn line and coloured in box in URA's master plan is a choice made based on a set of assumptions about us, about what sort of needs to prioritize. But we should get to decide whether these assumptions made about us are far too simplistic. Of course, we want affordable housing and we want to see our loved ones protected against climate-induced rising sea levels. But is it accurate to assume that we want all these needs to be met at all costs? Could we live with ourselves knowing that our coastal defense came at the cost of destructive sand dredging of our neighboring countries? Or that the homes of other living beings were sacrificed for our residential spaces? Look, I'm not hoping for a fight between the state planners and the public, okay? After all, we want the same thing, which is to make land use choices that are genuinely in Singapore's best interest. What I'm asking you to do is to stop saying bo bian. Instead, ask yourself whether you agree with the choices being made on your behalf. Because at the end of the day, the master planner is accountable to us, the public, the people who inhabit these spaces and constantly reinvent the ways they are used. So if you disagree with the choices being made on your behalf, and you're tired of waiting to be invited to close doors to the table planning decisions are made, which you can see all around you now, who are already pulling up their own chairs to be at the table. Thank you.
Thank you for the great sharing, Gabriel. And to close off our speeches, we have our last speaker of the day, John, an architectural worker and labour organizer with Workers Make Possible. Hello? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, technical issues. So John will be speaking about the distribution of space in Singapore and our collective interest as a working class. Can all of you give a hand to John?
Hello everyone, my name is John. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a half Chinese, half Filipino man. I'm wearing the Labor Day t-shirt and the Decathlon green pants that you can actually take out the legs, you can become shorts. Yeah. So first, I would like to thank everyone for coming down today. It was very good to see how people have come together over the past few weeks to sign petitions, fill out EIA feedback, and facilitate community discussions in an effort to save Maju Forest. For myself, I'm an architectural worker in construction and also a labour organiser with Workers Make Possible, an independent workers' rights organisation. While these two parts of me informed how I'm speaking today, I come to you here as a fellow person who calls Singapore his home. And as someone who has lived here for all 28 years of my life, I do think that the situation we all find ourselves here today is a horrible case of deja vu. Who agrees? From Bukit Brown, Dover, Tengah, and now Maju and Gillman, it seems that all I can remember are you and I being handed a pair of impossible scales over and over and over again. Like what Alvin Tan himself said, if we conserve even more, we will build even fewer homes. Simplified, like equation. A couple of days ago, he doubled down on the same point. This seems to always be the scenario. Scales is our housing. Housing that is a necessity to live and a basic human right for all of us. And on the other, precious ecosystems in the form of critical, irreplaceable forests. And I used to think that these scales were just a natural part of land scarcity. But the fact that the bottom line has crossed so far into our basic needs as a people should convince us that we are being squeezed beyond reason. Why are the scales being used to pit public housing and nature against each other, even though they are some of the most crucial ingredients to our lives? Am I right? Well, guess what? There is one special ingredient that the government has chosen not to put on the scales yet. I think this ingredient reveals that land scarcity alone does not explain the choices that have been made by the government. Because compared to the 15 hectares that is proposed to be cleared in Maju, this special ingredient takes up 3,100 hectares based on the 2025 master plan. That's roughly the combined area of Bedok, Tampines and Punggol towns, which have 212,000 housing units collectively. They choose not to put this ingredient on the scales, even though it is incompatible with our general public use and designed to cater to only 4% of households in Singapore. Can anyone guess what it is? GCB! That's right. This ingredient is landed housing. This is not to say we should not be blaming people living in landed, because this is not a moral issue. This is an issue of how our land is being used. Because as it is now, large swaths of land are being locked into specific format of space that is inherently designed only to serve a minority. Honestly, if we were to start anywhere at all, I would say let's start with good class bungalows or GCBs and colonial bungalows. As an architectural worker myself who used to work on such houses, I must say the disparity is absurd and disgusting. These are houses that go up to 6,000 square meters, while the size of a typical 4-room flat or condo is just 90 square meters, which is 1.5% of their space. For everyone's context, the grass patch that we're sitting on now, just this one, is 4,000 square meters by my own estimation. And typically these GCBs have forests in their own backyards and are owned or rented by billionaires. It is unclear exactly how many people stay in the 2,800 GCBs we have in Singapore, but I can share an anecdote from a PHV driver that we spoke to, which gives us some idea. He was driving a passenger somewhere and found out not only did the passenger live in a GCB that was almost 2 football fields large, it was just and his wife living in it. Somehow this ultra unequal class of land use is allowed to exist, while our housing and forests for the masses are first to be put on the chopping block. What do you all think? Is this the right way to be using our land? No! The government has had the power to acquire these lands. If we are really proud to live in a city in nature, in air quotes, does it make more sense to clear forests or to clear GCBs? If we can start with golf courses, I think we can follow suit with GCBs. But the government's consistency in retaining this land for the privileged few reveals something that I want everyone to wrap their heads around. It reveals that there is a divergence and a clash between what they are interested in and our own interests as a class of people. Am I right? Perhaps this divergence is made even clearer the more we experience the other choices they have been making. Like how much they prop up the production of AI slop despite so many layoffs and public backlash, or how they tax us for using bottles and cans while corporations continue to run rampant with pollution and exploitation. I think many of us here are sick of it. I am sick of it. I'm sick of putting in so much time and energy with all of it being so easily ignored or met with another patronizing MP who has already made up his mind about his own interests. My friends and comrades, we must be very, very wary of our time and energy being spent stuck in a position where we are constantly begging, when we could actually instead build power, actual bargaining power. These are two very different things, bargaining and begging. Because at the end of the day, our forests are depending on us to able to demand for no more clearances rather than to continue to beg for concessions. But how do we build such political power? The first step is to collectivize and get organized together. Just like how residents of Sunset Way and Telok Blangah have collectivized their voices to hold the government accountable. Of this huge scale requires us to participate en masse and with coordination to really make a difference. So let's all join an organization or start your own one. But again, let's all move together towards gaining power to bargain and never ever ever return to begging ever again. But what is it that the government is most interested in from us? I don't think it's more feedback that they can easily choose to ignore. I think it is the things they need from us running, our money and our labor. But perhaps that is something that we can talk about after. As we attend here, the work begins after we leave Hong Lim Park and begin showing up for each other and the forest. So I hope to see everyone again as we continue organizing together. I hope that one day, after all the work is said and done, that we are able to smash the stupid scales they always dangle in front of us, this time ensuring both our housing and our forests stay as needs, instead of the people who claim to representing us giving in to greed. So on that note, let's do a chant. Can everyone refer to chant number 6? Okay, I'll say housing is a need or forests are a need, and you say don't give in to greed. Okay, so I'll say housing is a need, you say don't give in to greed. Ready? Housing is a need. Don't give in to greed. Forests are a need. Don't give in to greed. Housing is a need. Don't give in to greed. Forests are a need. Don't give in to greed. Okay, one last one. Oh, no need. Okay, one more. Okay. So, just now they say already, so I'll say our land is for the people, you say stop stripping it for capital. I say our land is for the people, you say stop stripping it for capital. Ready? Yes. Our land is for the people. Stop stripping it for capital. Our land is for the people. Stop stripping it for capital. Thank you, I'm John. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, for that empowering speech. The fight doesn't start with the resident committee, civil society groups, whether it's with the nature group or whether it's with SGCR, okay? Cool, so now that we've wrapped up our speeches, we have a very exciting closing sing-along performances. So I encourage all of you guys to participate and join along, okay? As the choir comes in, I want to introduce one more thing that everyone has been working on. So in front of you over here on the stage, you see a blue piece of canvas, right? So this is a community art installation. This map is what Maju should look like when it's for the people and not for profit. Yeah, do you guys all see this piece of canvas over here?
Thank you for contributing your post-its in the hopes of what Singapore would look like.
The green parts of the map mark out green spaces that we have lost or stand to lose in pursuit of development. The red and pink parts represent what is captured by private greed, golf courses, and GCBs. The post-its you see on the map have been filled by all of you, representing what you have lost in the name of progress and what you hope progress can look like instead. Our hope is that Singapore can be shaped by its people, hopes and wishes rather than for the rich. Is that right? Alright, if all of you guys agree, sing along with the People's Choir introducing Satu Jiwa.
Hi guys, can you all hear me? Okay, great. Alright, so we are Satu Jiwa. We will be reading with you guys in a sing-along, so sing out loud as possible. Yeah, you can refer to the second page of your program booklet. So the first singing, We Shall Not Be Moved. To be something which we would like you guys to sing along with. We will be singing I'm going to sing the first line, and I want you guys to sing after me. And then after that, we'll sing the second line, and you guys sing after me. And that's the whole song. It's just 2 lines. So it's really easy. You should be able to do it. Come on. Okay, so let's sing. People gonna rise like water. I hear the voice of my sons and daughters saying, save our forest now. I hear the voice of my sons and daughters saying, save our forest now. Great, now you know the whole song. So the lyrics do change, and that is it. Yeah, let's go. People gonna rise like the water, gonna face this rises now. I hear the voice of my sons and daughters saying,
song is called This Is Your Land. Right? It's on page 3 of your pamphlet. And the chorus will go somewhat like this. This land is your land, this land is our land. From Sembawang to Gillman Island, from Tagore Forest to Maju Forest. This land was made for you and me. So that's a chorus, and whenever one verse ends, right? It will end with the line, this land is made for you and me. And over there, I would love for you guys to join in and sing the chorus with us. Yeah. This land is your land, this land is our land. From Sembawang to Gillman, from Tagore Forest to Maju Forest. Was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw beside me the endless skyscrapers. I saw below me the empty valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is our land. From Sembawang to Gillman Island, from Tagore Forest to Maju Forest. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps. The rules in the southern waters, at Burnham Jetty, the fish were singing. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is our land. From Sembawang to Gillman Island, from Tagore Forest to Maju Forest. This land was made for you and me. Those are big high walls of our forests. If EIA is to be was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is our land. From Sembawang to Gillman Island, from Tagore Forest to Maju Forest. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is our land. From Sembawang to Gillman Island, from Tagore Forest to Maju Forest. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Autograph.
Alright, so now we'll hand over the time to...
Hi! So we are representing the children for the forest. And we wrote a song, the children wrote a song to the tune of Chal Mali Chan. Who don't know the tune of Chal Mali Chan? Okay, very good. So I would like you to sing with your neighbors. Okay, so Chal Mali Chan, let's do Chal Mali Chan the chorus together. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Chal Mali Chan, hey hey. Chal Mali Chan, hey hey. Chal Mali Chan, ketipu baru. Okay, yeah. So now we will read the Song of the Wild lyrics and we'll sing to the tune Chal Mali Chan.
You
Thank you, Satu Jiwa and the kids from Forest School for that lovely performance. Give it up for them again. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Just to wrap up this session, we want to do some chants with everyone. So if anyone wants to stand up and chant along with us, please do so. Stand up. Come on. Today we'll be going through 3 chants, okay? We've narrowed it down to chant 7 on your program booklet, chant 4 and chant 8. Okay, we'll start with chant 7 first. So this chant will be a call and response. What this means is that we'll say a line and you guys say the next line.
Okay, raise up your placards, everyone. Let the government see what you want to say. Alright, are you guys ready? Chant number 7. We the people, I say, we the people want to say, and you say, you can't make us go away. Ready? We the people want to say, you can't make us go away. We the people want to say, you can't make us go away. We the people want to say, you can't make us go away. Woo! Next one, you've been doing this one throughout. Our land is for the people, and you say, stop stripping it for capital. Ready? Our land is for the people. Our land is for the people. Stop stripping it for capital. Land is for the people. Stop stripping it for capital. And for our last chant, make it louder than the previous 2. The people united, and you say, will never be defeated. Ready? The people united, will never be defeated. The people united, will never be defeated. The people united, will never be defeated. Woo! Give us a round of applause for being here today. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll now be saying a few words to close.
So as we all heard from all the speeches and poetries and singing and all the lovely reflections and conversations here today, we know that decisions on land use and deforestation are not apolitical and predetermined. The working class deserve and should continue demanding to have a say, and it is only in mass where we can push for a future that champions the interests of the working class.
For everyone sharing, if there is 3 takeaways from today, the 3 key demands of our rally. Firstly, protect our nature areas. Do you agree? Yeah! Secondly, do you agree? Yeah! And thirdly, okay, for us to redefine progress for the people. Woo!
I hope everyone's feeling energized and motivated to continue pushing for these demands through organizing with your communities, because the fight for our forests and our futures doesn't end today. Maju Forest and Gillman Barracks are currently receiving the most attention. However, there are other areas as well that are being threatened by housing developments, such as the marine ecosystems around East Coast Park and Tagore Forest in the Mandai area.
this is why we rally to Maju to progress for a future defined by what is sustainable, equitable, and based on the vast majority of our Singaporeans, rather than the profit-seeking interests of the few who don't value nature.
And with that, we wrap up today's rally. However, if you do have time, please head over to the SGCR booths over there, as well as the resident booths. They will be around for a while longer before we start wrapping up around 7 o'clock. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and we hope to see you again in the future. Thank you! Oh, feel free to come forward and look at the art installation, and everyone worked on collectively as well.
I enjoy being in the nature. I love everything inside the forest. The tree, the birds, the insect. My name is Bryce Lee. I'm 53 years old. I've been doing this since secondary school actually. Being in nature, what I call a nature immersion, when you really inside the forest by yourself and you're so connected and you feel calm. Singapore is a city in nature. I can be in a very busy, very noisy town, right? But within 30 minutes, I can be in the forested area and suddenly it's so quiet, just the nature sound, you know. And the kind of contrast that I feel, right, is kind of amazing, you know. Singapore is located along the equator and is home to various wildlife, flora and fauna that are part of both terrestrial and freshwater ecosystem and coastal and marine ecosystem. There is more than 7,800 hectares of green space like primary forest, secondary forest, nature park and park connectors. They maintain biodiversity balance and also act as a carbon sponge while reducing the urban heat island effect. Living in an urban city, the moment I enter the forest, I can feel the difference. The forest is important, you know. It provides fresh air to people staying around it, you know. So it's important that we try to keep as much as forest as possible in Singapore because all these affect a person's well-being. I started birdwatching in the mid-80s, right, you know, and until 90s. So birdwatching is a never-ending learning because you understand the species, you know. If you are lucky, you can see this endangered species of bird called straw-headed boo-boo. Okay? Straw-headed boo-boo is endangered species globally, okay? But we hold the largest population of straw-headed boo-boo in Singapore. So it's important that, you know, we can keep this place as long as possible. Forests are not just forests, okay? These are refuge for all kinds of species of wildlife, for birds, for plants to thrive and to grow. See? There's this place in Singapore called Thomson Nature Park. Thomson Nature Park have very high biodiversity value because of all these rare species of mammals. You know? This banded leaf monkey, or we call it the Rifles banded Tengah. The population left is only about 60 to 70. So Thomson Nature Park is what kind of their holding area also. This is our old Jurong Rail. So it ceased operation in 1992. Until now, it was abandoned. For almost 30 years. This place has grown wild, so nature took over. You look at all the root system, right? All the roots, right? It's really embedded to the railway track, you know. So this is something special that in Singapore, and HDB is just beside us. We should treasure this urban and nature kind of mixed together. All these nature spots are just from the Singapore mainland. During low tide, take a boat to this southern island. It takes about less than 30 minutes. One of the interesting part, I think, is the Lazarus Island. Because Lazarus Island still hold one of the last few natural rocky shore in Singapore, which is accessible to public, you know. Go there during low tide period, you know, you can actually walk on the rocky shore. There's actually a lot of marine sea creatures living in this rocky shore. You know. I'm not an activist, nor I'm a conservationist. I'm just a nature lover. I never feel bored going back to the same forest again and again, because forests every day look different. You know. Singapore might be small, but we still have quite a lot of forests around for us to visit. You know. Each time you go back, you see different things. The best thing about forest is everlasting change. So it keeps changing, keep changing, you know.